One pro tip if you're feeling overwhelmed. Assalamu alaikum, this is your brother Mohammad Arshad, and in this video I want to share with you one super tip that you can do if you're feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so let me give you some context to this so that you understand where I'm coming from. There's lots and lots of things that I'm working on at the moment. Each of these things are very, very demanding. They're all things I care about, they're things that I'm passionate about, and so I want to do them, but there's so much going on. And so what I did yesterday is that I was feeling very overwhelmed. I've been traveling, and so there's like a backlog that kind of piles up and stuff. So what I did is I felt overwhelmed, and I thought, let me call someone that I trust and get some advice. So anyway, I called my business partner Faisal, and I told him the situation, and I got some advice from him and stuff. And he was really good. He was telling me about the typical stuff that you should think about when you're overwhelmed. You know, things like prioritizing what's most important, shutting down things which can wait, trying to delegate stuff to other people, trying to eliminate stuff which isn't so important. So I think all of these things are really, really helpful when you're trying to reduce overwhelm and when you're trying to get back to a normal stage. You know, like I said, getting other people to do stuff, switching off stuff that's not important, prioritizing the most important things. So I found all of that to be really, really useful, and I think you should do all of that when you're overwhelmed. But I think the thing that I found most powerful, like in terms of actually making a real difference in terms of the way I feel, but also in terms of results, is waking up and staying up after Fajr. Okay, waking up and staying up after Fajr. This is something that's so powerful, and you know, every time my life kind of gets into overwhelm, this is what I do. I like go back to basics, and I'm like, wake up at Fajr. Now this is a bit of a strange one because right now in the UK, like, we can pray Fajr at like 2:45, right? So staying up from like 2:45 all the way through the day is very, very difficult. So most of the time I just pray Fajr and go back to sleep. But what's happening now, the summer solstice is kind of gone. It's starting to go the other way. So it's a great time to kind of latch on to Fajr. You can pray Fajr at 4 o'clock at the moment, or even 4:15, 4:30 if you're stretching it, and you can stay up from that point. So what I did is I said, right, I'm in overwhelm. I need to do all the things that Faisal said about, you know, delegating and prioritizing and all that stuff. But I still feel overwhelmed, even though there's so much to do. So what I'm gonna do is wake up at Fajr. Now, waking up at Fajr, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he made a special dua for that time. That there's actually extra barakah in that time. So if you do 4 hours, and this is from my own experience as well, if you do 4 hours of work after Fajr, compared to you doing like 6-7 hours, you know, during the day normally, those 4 hours for me are much more valuable, much more productive, and I think you'll find that as well. So so what I decided to do is I decided, like, after Fajr today, I'm gonna kind of wake up and stay awake. So since I woke up this morning, like, it's only been an hour and a half or something, and this is my second video. So usually I make like maybe 3 videos in a week, right? But in the space of like 1 hour of waking up, this is my second video to you guys. And I probably will make my third one as well, which means that I'm kind of done for the week. And so I've also been able to do my morning routine like to the fullest, like really taking my time, doing all the things that I think are important in the morning to give me the best start of the day. And it's very peaceful, it's very silent, there's no pressure at this time, there's no one awake, no one kind of asking you to do things, no one sending you emails, no one phoning you, no one ringing the doorbell. It's like absolute peace and calm. And what that does is it kind of gives you this feeling of tranquility, it gives you the feeling of peace, and that kind of removes that whole element of overwhelm and pressure and stress, and it gives you this clarity, right, where you can actually sit down and say, well, I feel like I'm ahead now, which is the opposite of overwhelm, where you feel like you're behind. And so what I wanted to do is I thought, right, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do my morning routine, then I'm going to go and do some big actions like making videos which are going to make me feel like I've done something useful. And then even then, like, I'm looking at the clock now, like after I finish this video, it's still 10 to 6, right? So probably got a few hours before the kids wake up or anyone starts ringing me or any phone calls or anything. So now in the next 2-3 hours I can actually go into deep work, right? And there's a difference between like the deep work of you being alone and it being quiet and you being focused, compared to everything going on around you. Like, how are you supposed to do creative work and work that requires that level of depth when it's crazy around you? So these few hours are so precious. And so, you know, just like this is something that Islam prepares us for. It's one of the wonderful things about Islam, that if you go and speak to billionaires, if you go and read personal development from non-Muslims, they will all say like, wake up early, wake up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 4:30, like be part of that club. The Morning Miracle is an amazing book which basically summarizes the whole thing and says, look, waking up early is the way to do it, and it gets you success. And I think that this is what I'm saying, that now, like as we get back to normal in terms of Fajr times, it's the best thing that you can do. So I definitely recommend that you guys read The Morning Miracle if you haven't read it already. Get up for Fajr. The secret to getting up early is what? It's so simple. It's going to bed early, right? And the secret to going to bed early is actually eating early. Because if you eat food at 9 p.m., then the likelihood of you going to bed before midnight is kind of tough, because you need some time for the food to digest. But if you have food at like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, like I did last night, right? Then like by the time Maghrib comes in at like 9:30 or whatever, you're kind of like, okay, you're ready for bed anyway. And then by the time Isha comes in, you're like, okay, damn, that's it, I'm ready, right? And then the other thing I would say is really reduce screen time. So yesterday I said to myself, right, I'm gonna wake up for I'm gonna stay awake, so I'm actually not gonna look at my screen, like no phones, no TV, no Netflix, nothing. Just like after Maghrib, there are no screens, right? And I did it purposely. I avoided my phone and everything, and I went to bed. And so what that does, it actually gives you a much better quality of sleep as well. And so when you wake up, not only do you have lots of time, but you're really energized as well. So like I said, if you're feeling overwhelmed, do all the kind of things I'm saying about delegating, prioritizing, all this stuff. But if you really want to feel peaceful and tranquility and feel like you're ahead, then the best thing you can do, inshallah, is wake up, pray Fajr, and stay awake and get focused. I hope it's benefited you, and inshallah I'll see you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.